Just to reintroduce myself again, I'm Kerry-Ann Joseph-McLean, Corner McLean, my co-host and I. We are not only husband and wife, life partners, we're best friends, and we are also consider ourselves as health enthusiasts. So for those of you who are here, just send me a one in the chat if you can hear me clearly. I'm actually using a new computer right now. So if you're able to just put a one in the chat that you can hear me, and then I will share the information I have, which is a presentation that I worked on to give you. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So again, thank you so much for joining. And again, Happy New Year. 2026 is coming by very fast. We're in the second week of the month. And so as we reflect on our past as to what we are, how we've sort of treat ourselves in our health and self-care, it is important to go back and to reflect. We call it hindsight. And of course, we also have the ability for insight. So when that intuitive call comes to you as to what you need to do to change, whether it's through your health, mental, physical, spiritual, we all have that innate ability. And that we have a very good friend who is a functional medicine practitioner in Brampton. His name is Sachin Patel. He always says this, that we are our best doctors, not in the way of the credentials as for your doctrine to have that type of in that field, but we know our bodies best in the sense of how we're feeling, so we can better articulate to the health practitioners, whether it is through a naturopathic doctor or a traditional doctor that prescribes medicine in the way of pharmaceuticals. So there's no wrong path unless you are uninformed, then that's a wrong path. But if you're informed and you gain the knowledge through the right type of research, getting the right type of information, not just simply Googling and finding information that takes you to a rabbit hole, that is something that you will sort of have the ability to journal and to be able to present to your doctor to say, this is how I'm feeling. These are the symptoms. Because most times doctors will give you an educated guess. They will try one medication. It doesn't fit every single person's criteria of health and well-being, but they will try something that will help you to improve your health. And as a friend of us basically said, that it's not really health care, it's sick care. So they sort of give you the medication to help you to maintain, maybe to treat the symptoms but not the root cause. And so what I'm sharing here with you is some of the information we have done. It's been actually a 1 year anniversary for us of having this health talk series every single week, consistently without fail, rain, snow, sunshine. The last 2 weeks have come up to the end of the year. We took a little hiatus, but we started up again. So thank you once again. And as I'm sharing this with you, I just want to share with you once we finish the presentation, we're going to open the mic or the the call to if you have any questions that are to my ability, I can, as Cornel mentioned, I can try to address, but I don't have the information. We have very great mentors and coaches who help us who are in that field. There's one particular person who we sort of get our mentorship from is Dr. Bob Rakowski. He's a naturopathic doctor, kinesiologist. He's also a nutritionist and and many doctrines as well. But he has four different doctrines. So when we have certain questions that are sort of in a technical term, we can refer to him. And of course, he has a monthly call, which is called Ask the Doctor, that you're more than welcome to join once we share that information with you. I'm going to share my slide with you so you can actually see what I am looking at. Right. Okay, so once I share this, I'd like you to put a 2 in the chat that you can see it. I'm just going to share that now. Awesome. So if you can see the slides, let's put a 2 in the chat for me just to make sure you can see what I'm seeing. Okay, so I'm going to take it by faith that you can see it. So as I'm sharing this with you, I'm just going to maybe ask a question, you can put it in the chat, is have you considered how you're going to improve your health for this year? Have you thought about it from the year before to this year? And of course, I would like you to think of the mindset of resetting your goals, thinking of ways that you can improve your health, being more mindful. Tips I'm going to share on how to embrace a healthier lifestyle. I'm going to share information or insight on like your immune system, your health and well-being, your mindset, of course, your mental state, and it's a little bit of everything in the sense of what I think is best to describe approaching health as not just a one-time thing, but a long-term invested goal into yourself. Because if when you pour into yourself, invest into yourself, into your health, that actually allows you to fulfill the dreams and goals that you set for yourself for 2026 and beyond. So healthy isn't just a term, it's a mindset. It's a goal, it's a way of living. So as I mentioned about, embracing a healthier lifestyle, think of it as the becoming the best and better version of you. So best version of you, the better version of you. Um, because we all want to evolve to the highest and best version of ourselves so that we can create that legacy we want for ourselves and our family, whether it's through health, through finances, well-being, just having a home that is more united. But there's different goals we set. But if you don't have a foundation of health, then everything else will be a struggle. Once you've lost your health, everything else becomes an upward battle in the sense of you trying to have a boulder push up into the up the hill, and you're trying to maintain your health while you're trying to attain your goals. So I hope that makes sense. But think of it this way: as you invest in yourself by what you eat, what you think, how you sleep, and just creating that path for yourself. And you are the best indicator for yourself. You know exactly how you're feeling, you know what you're going through. You may have health challenges, you may not. There may be underlying situations or circumstances you're experiencing that you haven't spoken to your doctor about. And keep in mind that there's no shame in expressing how you're feeling to those that you trust, like and trust, especially those around you in your circle, your inner circle, and those that you can speak to, like a doctor, that will help you to be able to pinpoint what you need to do in improving yourself. So, embracing the healthy lifestyle is a mindset. Think of it of how you're eating healthy or healthier, what you're taking stock of what you're doing, what you're being mindful about that, committing some exercise, improving it slowly. Everything takes time, baby steps, learning the art of how to sleep well, meaning paying attention to what's causing you to have a sleep disturbance if you're experiencing that as you go through different seasons in life, and not overthinking it, just keeping it simple. So, doing step by step by step, little baby steps here and there, and then, celebrating those little steps. You don't have to do that big task of just doing a 360 with your health, but little steps day by day will compound into creating of how you're, sort of investing in yourself for a healthier lifestyle. Of course, thinking positively. Most times we are our worst critique. We tend to overthink and judge ourselves harshly. We're more forgiving of others than ourselves. If you have fallen off of the wagon, so to speak, of healthier choices, that's okay. Forgive yourself and move forward. Start to reset, recalibrate in a way of where you're thinking, and knowing that you see in your mind's eye a healthier version of you every single day, because it starts there. It starts with your inner core, your mind, your body, spirit, connecting with each other to know what steps to take, and by your intuition as well, putting yourself in the right environment to know what to do, pairing yourself with someone who can help you, maybe some accountability partner or partners to help you to stay on the track to maintain that healthier lifestyle that you so desire. So not only is it just a lifestyle that we consider, it's a mindset. So all of these things, they come together synergistically. So nutrition, mindset, your body, your sleep, your fitness, everything goes hand in hand. Now, we say physical activity, and we all fall prey to this, including myself. We start good, we stop. We start good, we stop. Life gets in the way, and of course, we tend to let others judge us harshly, or we judge ourselves. But that they start small. If it's 1, 2, 3 days a week, you do something in the home, or you go to the gym, or have a partner that'll help you, a good friend, a buddy who could help you to start small and not overexert yourself. Now, of course, if you have underlying conditions, go according to that guideline so that you know that you're not going to aggravate your illness if you have an underlying um basically you have a hidden or maybe an illness that you currently have a challenge with. So if you're engaged at least 30 minutes of exercise, whether it's resistance training or whether it's cardio, simple, you have low impact things like, you can do chair yoga and type of yoga that help them to not put too much pressure on your body, or even, in the aquafit, which has less impact on your joints, especially if you have something like chronic pain, you have an issue with autoimmune issue condition, things that will aggravate in the sense of putting too much pressure on yourself with typical type of exercise. So not only is going to help you with your well-being, it actually helps you to I don't know how to say this in the sense of I find when I do exercise, I feel better. My overall well-being, like I've accomplished something for that day. So not only it's going to promote, health, it will help to boost your energy. It will help to have overall well-being. You feel, you have incentive. You feel that you want to be able to do more, and that might actually lead you to sort of pursue your goals and dreams for 2026 because you're feeling good about yourself. You're feeling resilient. You feel you can conquer the world. But of course, it's all conditioning. And again, baby steps. So one of the tips I want to share with you is to stay hydrated. So that's my challenge. It's all been my challenge for myself. I start good. When I'm working out, I drink more water. When I'm not working out, it's not so much. When it's cold weather, of course, we don't drink as much water. So think of ways that you can be creative about consuming and more, staying hydrated, being committed. There's actually an app you can download that can give you a reminder to drink your water at scheduled times. So it'll sound like you're actually pouring water. It's a really good app, and I actually like it. So not only you're hydrating yourself, it helps to detoxify the body. Now, there's some people who have issues with like kidney issues or on dialysis. They have to be very careful about the amount of water that they consume because that can be a negative. But for those who don't have that issue or condition or illness, then this is something that we would say that would be a good way of starting the year strong. You're 2 weeks in, it's no time like the present. Of course, be mindful not too late because, of course, it'll disturb your sleep if you're drinking too much water late into the evening. But time it so that you can know that you're having a rhythm of flow of staying consistent by consuming the right amount of water to stay hydrated and, of course, to take those toxins out of your body the best that you can. Also, as well, we know that as seasons come, seasons go, not only the environmental season, but our physical season as we age gracefully. We know there's a saying that every 7 years that the body does a full change in how it operates and how it functions. But sleep can be a leisure for some and a challenge for others. So some people who are going through the season of change, like for example, menopause or andropause for men, because there is such a thing called andropause. Those who have had issues, if, for example, have gone through cancer treatment and they have issues sleeping, or they have bouts of depression or anxiety, and that affects their sleep. Things like ADHD, ADD, all these things, they disturb the pattern of your sleep. So if you're not in REM sleep, you're not sleeping properly, the body doesn't have an opportunity to regenerate itself in a way of giving you the all the great things your body needs to be able to do to perform. So quality of sleep is important. It's easier said than done. Many people may have, broken sleep, like myself. I had broken sleep for many years. When first I worked in the corporate world, I did have broken sleep because of the type of work that I did on in IT. The second part was I took time to take care of my mom before she passed, and so that kept me the mind's not at rest. And of course, you're not alert. So I made the decision to be able to have her home so I could take care of her instead of a nursing home. That was my personal choice. But of course, that was broken sleep. So, after her passing, I was able to sort of bring it back to somewhat normal. But of course, some habits you may have had or you may have incurred, you may have experienced may disrupt your sleep. Maybe you're working shift job, like you work nights versus day, or your schedule changes every 2 weeks or every 6 weeks. That can disrupt your cycle of sleep. So be mindful, track it, see what's happening. There's actual trackers for sleep, and even your phone does that as well. But remember, giving your sleep a priority will actually help you to have a better mental well-being. If your sleep pattern is disrupted over time, it can impact your mental health. So, thinking of how you're going to embrace the healthier lifestyle, consider prioritizing sleep. I know some people take cat naps in the day. There's certain parts of the world they take siestas, shut down the city for 2 hours and they sleep during the day, which is actually really good for your health. But not everyone has that luxury of doing that. So, depending on where you are in the world. Now, why is sleep so important? Why it is vital. It's basically allows the body and brain to repair, to recharge. And as you're thinking of how you can repair and to sort of recharge yourself, we may think, okay, I can eat certain types of food, some types of nutrients, or I can actually work out more. But if you're sleep deprived, no matter what you do to consume, to get to think that you're actually helping your body, you need a balance of all of these things. So not only is it supporting you in that capacity when you sleep more, get more sleep, or especially REM sleep, it helps to improve just the immune system. It improves your mood, your cognitive performance, your physical recovery. If you find that you are sleeping and then you get really tired, something's not right. You're actually increasing the chance of more chronic disease if you don't have that as yet, or you may have been diagnosed as pre-diabetic, for example, or you may have, some issues with heart murmurs, things like that actually could be linked to your sleep. So reach out to your doctor, tell them what's happening with you. Sometimes we go to the doctor, we don't say, okay, I'm not sleeping enough. Or I find that my thoughts are all over the place. I don't have, clear thoughts. You may not think that you need to tell that to the doctor because that may not be his or her area of expertise. But these are things you need to share with them because they can actually refer you to a specialist to help you to determine what's causing it. But of course, you're your best doctor. As you articulate all of these things, you're able to say, okay, doctor, this is what I'm finding. I find that this particular time I'm not sleeping enough. I find that, I'm feeling tired, or I find that, these other symptoms are coming about. My thoughts are foggy, different things where you find you're getting more sick as the time progresses or the days go by. So what are the benefits of sleeping? We're thinking of sleeping as a foundation for all health. We take it for granted, right? So there's benefits when you sleep. Your memory and learning, focus and mood, toxins removal. You see kids, they sleep for, 8, 9, 10 hours, and they have to go to bed at a certain time, but we tell them, but we don't do it. As you get older, more responsibilities, we call it adulting, we tend to take away the importance of sleep. When we know kids need sleep, well, adults need sleep as well. So we find that we have this brain fog and all of these things, or we could be nutrient deficient as well. That's causing us not to be able to sleep because it's like an uphill battle to figure out what's causing me not to sleep. Then you have these compounded issues that sort of like a domino effect, right? So your memory, learning, all of these things, they impact you because you're sleep deprived. So when your body's at rest, shut down in a way of sleep mode, these are some of the benefits you can actually incur. And when it's not, then of course we know that it is could have a long-term effect in a negative way with your health. The other thing too, as well, why it's so important to sleep as part of your of sort of keeping that mindset of sleep is important as you go through 2026 for a healthier version of you. Keep in mind that if you are focusing on the better version of you in your health, not just physical and eating right, is thinking how when you sleep, your heart is actually doing what it needs to do. Your metabolism and weight regulates more. Growth and repair, immune system, all of these are actually doing what it needs to do to repair and to improve whilst you're sleeping. So imagine if you don't have 8 or 9 hours of sleep, but you're having 3 to 5 hours of sleep. You're robbing yourself over time, 10, 15, 20 years of sleep deprivation that can actually have a long-term effect as you get older in different seasons of your life. So what are the risks of poor health? Well, increased risk of chronic conditions such as diabetes or heart disease, impaired cognition, we call it brain fog, memory issues, reaction time. You find that your immune system is weakened, you're not sleeping enough. Of course, your immune system can be compromised. So if you're taking supplements, it may not necessarily help, making you more prone to illness, especially as we are into the winter months or certain times when they call it flu season. But some of the things are impacting us because we're lacking sleep. Negative impact on mood. Your mood is impacted. You find your temper short, and you find your response time when you're in the way of you being more patient is less when you're sleep deprived, and you really don't put two and two together to realize, okay, this is actually what's causing it. I'm sleep deprived. Leading to stress can be stress, mild to moderate. Stress can incur, and you don't realize that you're stressed because you've internalized a lot of things. You're more irritable, and of course, you're potentially more prone to depression. In December, I spoke on a condition called SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder, that impacts a lot more people than you think, especially in the winter months. A lot of people say, okay, I have the blues. The winter is like if I feel I have no energy, I'm lethargic, I'm sad, I have this feeling of anxiety or depression. I can't quite put my finger on it. Well, the winter months robs us of many things, including the sun, vitamin D, especially if you have melanin in your skin, which we don't get as much as our counterparts, like the Caucasian, in the sense of getting exposure to that. We have a lot more artificial lights that we tend to be, in our environment. So imagine you're compounding poor sleep, the seasons where you're getting less of the, you know, goodness from the sun. You find that you are more anxious. Maybe if you have that type of anxiety, you find it depressed. You don't know why you're depressed, but there are many things that could be factors. But again, keeping track of why you're experiencing that. You could find that you're scrolling on your phone more often or longer periods of time. So the brain doesn't have an opportunity to sort of calm down. Another thing too as well, in addition to sleeping right, making the right decision in the way of physical activity and sleeping is also eating right. There's a term that Dr. Bobakowski says. He says, they're magnificent sevens. I don't think I remember all of them, but eating right, thinking right, pooping right, moving right. And I think there's some more as well, but those are the four that actually stuck in my head. Right. So healthy eating is a form of self-care. So if you embrace it every single day, you're mindful, you're cognitive of what you're putting into your mouth, especially when you're highly stressed, or you find that you're easily irritated and you gravitate to the unhealthy processed foods. Think of what you're going to do by preparing in advance. So dedicated time each day for self-care, knowing that you're important. We tend to focus on other things, work, family, children, bills, all of these things we tend to put all our energy into, and we leave ourselves at the last, basically in the back burner. And we think about self-care as something as an option. It should be non-negotiable. So actively investing in yourself because you're your biggest investment. Think of ways you can meditate, practice deep breathing, take some time to read. I love audiobooks. Reading for me, especially when I'm overly tired, doesn't quite work for me. But when I read and listen, it works. So there's a tip for you. I'm dedicated to reading at least 10 pages a day. But audiobooks I love, if you tend to prone to do that, it helps to condition the mind as well. Engaging in hobbies, that actually helps to lift your I call it your upward spiral of emotions versus your downward spiral of emotion, meaning that you have sense of joy and gratitude, you feel differently, and because you're investing time in things that you love that brings you joy. Don't hesitate to reach out to people that you can count on, that especially who can help you, provide you with the right counsel or support when you need to be able to manage your stress, right? You have a good buddy, good friend, good sibling, even if you have a coach that you pay for, these are things you can actually use as in a sense of um, I call it my basket or my arsenal of coping mechanism. Right? That's my term. But if you think you have this as to what you can gravitate to when you're reaching out for help, this is something you can actually predetermine whilst you're planning what you want to do for 2026 pertaining to your health. So think of healthy food habits for 2026. Start your day with hydration. Make sure that you focus on what you can consume to support your gut health with natural remedies, whole foods, reducing dependence on sugar and processed food. Eat mindfully and use traditional healing foods because I'll share that with you in a bit. Eat more home cooked meals. How you can do that? Here's a tip. Especially when I did this for my mom because I was caring for her throughout the day and night. I actually prepared her meals on a Sunday. And I would plan what I'm going to do, and I would create a plan where we're making at least 2 weeks of food, portion it out, label it with a date, and freeze that. So now we can actually reheat them and she's getting home cooked food so that she's eating the right type of food. And I did that for myself for many years. So that's a practice you can bring into 2026 if you haven't considered doing that. And that'll save you not only time, it'll save you money. And of course, you're eating the right thing as well because you can cut down your consumption of, you know, foods that you order into your house or you go to a restaurant by at least, I'm sure, more than 50% of savings because you're doing the right things and eating the right food, practicing portion control, being consistent. Doesn't mean that you're perfect, but you're consistent. Eating more fruits and vegetables if you're able to. Now, some people have underlying conditions that they can't eat certain types of fruits, especially if you have like rheumatoid arthritis or maybe you have lupus or another condition. That sort of certain foods will work negatively against you. Include seasonal and locally available food. Number 10, it's um it's up for debate. There's some importance for intermittent fasting for those who are able to, and there's some who say that okay, don't do intermittent fasting, but there's some research showing the benefits of intermittent fasting. But there's some that show, especially with your pre-existing health condition, it can actually damage you in the way of your metabolism, increasing your blood sugar and reducing your calcium concentration. Now, there are things you can do to prevent that by eating the right nutrients for your body to be able to ensure that you maintain a healthy balance of calcium concentration for your blood and of course your bone density, but doing it wisely. I would say seek a nutritionist who can help you to do that, not just decide you're going to do intermittent fasting. So, thinking of a healthy life, think of mindful eating. When you embrace a healthy mindset, it doesn't matter what the occasion. So, whether you have a day-to-day, gathering with your family or you have a special occasion that you have with your family or an outing, you're mindful because you're adopting a healthier habit for 2026. So, adopting a healthier mindset starts with you identify the reason why you want to be healthier. And I would encourage you not just thinking, okay, I want to lose weight. Because once you start thinking about losing weight, we tend to sabotage ourselves unconsciously, and other people unconsciously will do that to you, especially if they see you as this particular weight that they may unconsciously sabotage you by trying to encourage you to eat unhealthy, especially when it's an outing. So think of the reason other than losing weight as to why you need to eat healthier. So what's compelling you? Is it to be around longer for your children? Is it to be a healthier version of you as you pursue your goals and dreams? Is it that you want to have a healthier way of being so that you're sleeping, eating, and breathing right or better? There's certain reasons why we compel to do things. So having a plan, you can have a goal, but without a plan, it's just wishful thinking. So have a plan that's most important to you and see yourself in your mind's eye as attaining that goal and celebrating that. And give yourself a reward every time you accomplish a certain milestone. What is consistently going to the gym for 3 days a week for the next 90 days? What is changing out one thing in your eating habits? Maybe adding a supplement, maybe adding more nutrients, maybe going hiking, whatever it is, and then you can reward yourself after a certain time frame so that you feel encouraged to continue doing what you're doing. And of course, you will consider the moments when you're triggered. You find yourself highly stressed. You find that you may respond to food trigger like myself. I actually have that when some people, when they're really stressed, they don't eat. Some people, when they're stressed, they eat. And for myself, I know what my trigger points are. So for me, I would tend to crave bread. So you may crave chocolate, or you may crave chips, you may crave fast food or more sugar, something that's going to give you that immediate dopamine, feeling, meaning that you feel good for that moment, but then you sort of berate yourself because I shouldn't have had that, right? So think of what you can do in the way of lessening that, meaning what you bring into the house, what you take off of the shelf in the grocery store. Try not to bring in too many of junk food into your home so you limit the temptation. Once in a while, you determine what you're going to do. You go out to the store. There's stores right now, as soon as you go into the store, the first thing you see is junk food, not the healthy green, good food that's really good for you. So you're tempted to go to that first because the psychology of shopping, you tend to gravitate to the comfort food first, then the healthy food. But if you're mindful, you have a list of what you need to get to the store, you're shopping online, okay, great. You buy what's good for you. but try to avoid having things in the home that will trigger you to eat unhealthy in the sense of your food triggers, okay? So keeping in mind, of course, if you have this mindset, you have set yourself up to win. Because first of all, you're mindful of what you bring into the home, especially when there are kids in the home, that you tend to buy the foods that are not healthy for them in the sense of like appeasing them, but then you tend to turn around and eat it. But so think of this mindset, embracing a nutritious and balanced diet, meaning that you're going to love yourself enough to live a healthier lifestyle. So the new year is an excellent way, an opportunity to eliminate these things. So if you aim to incorporate more greens and vegetables, cut down on sugary fried processed food, that's one step of making a conscious decision on what you put into your shopping cart and what you bring into your house. That's one tip. So nutrition, as you mentioned, is to bring in all the unprocessed food into your system and reducing or eliminating over time a high intake of saturated fats, sugar, salt, processed food, and it'll take time. So don't think you have to go cold turkey to be able to do all of that because you're gonna fall off that wagon, and then you will sort of be more harsh on yourself. So this is something I want to have you keep in mind. So food we know over many of the research that I've actually checked out through credible sites like PubMed.gov or Harvard. I go to Harvard website or to Yale. These are some of the websites I go to that have credible, documented studies have linked food impacts your mood. As I mentioned to you, you have a trigger. You tend to gravitate to processed food. Of course, you have the easy, fast fix, and then of course it's a negative impact for long term. So it impacts your mood when you eat the right type of nutrients, especially for brain function, your gut health, but thinking of whole foods and sort of incorporating that into your daily regime and committing to yourself, you will find that you will improve your mental state, your physical state as well. When you gravitate to processed or highly sugary items, you might find you have more moments of depression, unbeknownst to you what's causing it to trigger. You might have worsening anxiety, especially if you have something like PTSD. So if you find you gravitate to these processed food because you're trying to soothe yourself in the way of your well-being, of how you're feeling, your mental state, take a few seconds and ask yourself, is what I'm going to take going to harm me or heal me? And then you can make that decision because you've taken that few seconds to determine knowing what the long-term consequences will be. So thinking of food on your mood, when you do eat refined foods and processed food, it causes your blood sugar to spike and crash. So you have that, like for example, you have coffee with a lot of sugar and cream, and you feel good for 20 minutes and then you crash, right? So if you tend to be that person that has a high and low of your emotions in that capacity, you find you get more irritable, more anxious, and have higher risk of depression, especially if you have an underlying condition. Now, fried and high fat food, they taste good. I'm not going to lie to you, but they can be linked to, especially if you have bouts of anxiety and depression. And too much caffeine can shorten your boost, but it can actually lead to crashes and even more irritable outbursts. So, embracing a healthy lifestyle mindset is determining when you eat a specific food, whether it's processed or not, how it impacts the body and the brain. So think of it this way: your neurotransmitters, so for example, the food, your brain, how the food you're eating is either building blocks for your amino acids and your vitamins. So basically, the brain is transmitting information to the rest of your body, your organs, your cells, your blood, all of that. So if you're eating the wrong things, it's gonna misfire. If you know that your serotonin is going to be your mood stabilizer, your dopamine impacts your motivation and pleasure. Do you want something that's going to be long term in the way of eating healthier or short spurts of that good feeling that you have? The gut and the brain, they're connected. So the gut and we sort of in the terms that I've checked out with the research through PubMed, for example, is that the gut is your second brain. So the brain and the gut, if there's a mismatch of communication, that means your gut microbiome is impacted and you're influenced in a way that you're eating the wrong types of food or processed food, it's going to cause you to have a long-term impact negatively in your on your gut. So the gut itself, for example, your gastrointestinal, is where all of your emotions are held. So if you find that the brain you have a mismatch, you find you're a little bit feeling a little bit off. If the brain is not communicating to the gut, it affects your stress level, your mood level, and many other things. Blood sugar regulations also, if your blood sugar is not stable because you're eating unhealthy and processed food, you find that you will have more mood swings, more spikes, more irritability versus you eating things that will have stabilize your blood sugar, eating a rich food in fiber and many of the things that actually help to support your well-being. It's actually research that shows that healthy eating improves your brain function. That's basically it. It improves your memory, your concentration, and your academic performance if you're pursuing, higher learning. So embracing healthier lifestyle for a brighter future is very essential, especially if you're pursuing your goals and your dreams from 2025 into 2026, or you will set new goals for yourself in the way of, maybe starting a business or pursuing higher education or having, other goals that you have for yourself, just pursuing a new, some sort of career path. You need to be the healthier version of you. So think of it, if you enhance your awareness by mindful eating, you improve your digestion and health, meaning that you're eating in a relaxed state, you're not rushing, you're not jumping into the car and going to work and you're eating on the way, or you're rushing through your lunch and you're working at your desk and you're eating whilst you're working. That's not mindful eating. If you're doing that, you're in flight or fight mode. You're not in a relaxed state. So when you take the time to eat and you properly eat, you will improve your digestion and your health. So you have an overall well-being. That means that your body is able to absorb the nutrients more effectively, and this would help you to support your body and to fight inflammation. That's one of the main things that we discovered. Weight management. When you listen to your body, when you're hungry versus when you're stressed, makes a big difference. So for mindful eating, and I'll share this with you. When I worked in the corporate world and I worked in the IT under project management, there were times I would come home and continue working until 2 in the morning. Bad habit, I know. And so what would happen when you're trying to fight sleep whilst you're working? You're trying to stay awake, so the body will crave carbs, body will crave sugar because you're supposed to be sleeping. So these are things I'm sharing with you of the past experience that I did for many, many years in the corporate world. Not everyone does that, but that was something I did unconsciously, and then I continued doing that. But again, it's not too late to make changes, right? So these are things that we've evolved to in a way of being a healthier mindset. So think of it this way as what you can do today, not what you didn't do, what you did right last year or the year before or the decade before, but what you can do today. So one of the things to do is support your immune system. We know that COVID passed and a lot of people were impacted. Prior to that, there were other things that impacted us in the way of our immune system. The flu comes upon us. It's always there, but it seems to be more prevalent during the winter months. You may have had things in the past where they spoke about other viruses, and you were more prone to that. Your immune system is low. So some people have a more robust immune system than others. Some people have compromised, maybe overactive, underactive. But to know you is to know yourself. So if you know your system, you know your body, you should know yourself. Tapping into who you are in the way of a health capacity, what triggers your immune system to be compromised versus what's going to bring it to a supporting it is also being mindful. So engage your senses in taking your time to eat, making sure your food is digested, making sure that you engage yourself by experiencing what you're eating and enjoying it, slowing down and chewing. And as a kid, I didn't do that very well. I would chew, 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 and then that's some people I would just chew and swallow, right? But as you get older, you know better, right? But the bulk of your digestion actually happens in your mouth, and not only does this give your saliva time to break down the carbohydrates and of course help you to chew and all of these good things, it helps your body prepare your stomach in a sense of breaking it down so that you can actually have the right type of nutrients going to support you in the way of your healing, your inflammation, reducing that, and supporting your immune system as well. So when you eliminate also distractions, I mentioned before, watching you're actually on your phone or you're at work or you're running and eating and you're not being mindful, you're sort of not allowing your body to experience that time to be able to sit and to eat and to enjoy it. So eliminate some of the things. If you're watching TV, you're having conversations on the phone whilst you're eating, you're not giving your body the justice it needs. So listen to your body, pay attention to your hunger and fullness, as I mentioned before. Eat when you're hungry, not when you are that's out of overeating, and stop when you feel satisfied. So when you take your time to chew and to be able to slow down, your body has time to feel full, and so you're not overeating. And this is being mindful, right? So think of it this way now. This is someone who does not have a compromised autoimmune issue. But for those who have an autoimmune condition, things like lupus or fibromyalgia, or even things like arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis, which also is autoimmune, and many other autoimmune issues like MS. You need to be more mindful, right? So not only being mindful about what you're eating, is the types of food you're putting on your plate to eat, knowing where the source is coming from, whether it's organic or not. Ensuring that what gives you energy in one food and another type of food that sort of depletes you, knowing what you're eating and being mindful of that is including your snacks, right? So being diligent in that. To rest and digest, that's a ritual to do that. It's actually ways. And of course, you can watch this again and read to your heart content once I upload this into our group. But staying healthy as well is very important. Now, diving into this, we're still in the winter months, we're in January. Being mindful as well that not only are you going to carry this mindset from the winter into the spring, summer, and then again to the winter months again, but starting now, it's actually really good because you're starting in the winter months, so you actually can ramp up on your nutrients. Now, there's a term called superfoods. We take it liberal, like, a superfood. What's that? Well, the different types of superfoods to help you, especially in the winter months where your immune system is much lower. And of course, as you are deprived of certain things in the winter months, you can actually can become depleted. So think of superfoods as a way of packing your body with the high nutrients, more and antioxidants, minerals and vitamins to help you with your overall wellness. Sometimes, especially in the summer times, we don't tend to do that. We tend to eat things that are like not so healthy. But of course, as you're being mindful from now, you can take that habit into the other seasons. So staying healthy in the cold months, things like winter foods, I call them superfoods, but these are winter superfoods you can add to your diet. And I'll actually share with you some other superfoods that I've been consuming with my husband in our household that has helped us over the last 14, 15 years. So sweet potatoes, one. Citrus fruits, if you're able to. If your body doesn't allow you to eat citrus fruit, especially if, grapefruits, if you have high blood pressure, it's a no-no. If you have certain type of rheumatoid arthritis, there's certain types of fruits you can have. But for those who don't have those conditions, citrus fruits is really good. Ginger is really good. And of course, we have other things like dark leafy vegetables. So if you're not a person to eat vegetables that way, maybe you want to put it into a smoothie. I actually love spirulina as well. That's really good food as well. In the way of nutrients you can consume as a beverage versus eating. But knowing that these will help you as you go through your winter months to improve your nutrients absorption, these are things you can consider if you're able to. Oats is really good, especially keeping you warm. Beets, really good, very high in iron. Fiber really helps to improve the blood flow, especially if you have an underlying condition where your temperature drops a lot. Pomegranates, really good, very high in antioxidants. And I didn't know the benefit of that actually until as I came to Canada. My grandmother had a tree in the front yard, and I should say, "Don't touch my pomegranates," and we didn't. And then when she took it off, she would share with us, but it tasted good, but we didn't know how really good it was until we grew up, right? So, best things for you to think of in the way of superfoods to boost your immune system is things like nuts and seeds. Chia seeds are really good. Flax seeds are really good. These are things you also want to consider. Now, keep in mind as well for flaxseed, if you've had been diagnosed with cancer, that's something you need to speak to your nutritionist with because normally you shouldn't have flaxseed if you've gone through radiation or chemo. This is something I learned with my cousin who is a breast cancer survivor. And of course, you can add other things and be creative as well. Garlic and onions are really good for your boosting your immune system. Turmeric is really good. You can have it in many different ways. I do it with turmeric rice. I love it that way. My cousin loves it as a tea. So there's many ways you can be creative with that. Additional foods, superfoods you can have for the winter months. Carrots, turnips, radishes, legumes. Some people like ghee. It's clarified butter if you tend to gravitate to that. If not, that's a choice, of course. And also thinking of getting foods that are rich in vitamin D. Now, if you find that you're not consuming enough vitamin D in the way of that, in that way of like food, there's also the supplements, which is the vitamin D3. It's a soluble. It absorbs into the body. It's the only vitamin that our body produces. And of course, if it depletes, it impacts us in many ways. So, especially in the winter months. So, finding out the right amount for myself for vitamin D3, I take 3,000 international units, sometimes 4,000, especially in the winter months, because you don't know you're deficient. Because when you do your blood work, they don't test that unless you pay for it. So every time I go for my blood work, I ask to do a full blood workup. I pay the extra here in Canada and I get to know if I'm deficient or not. And actually, I was. So knowing is half the battle, right? So I just quoted an animation there, sorry. So herbs and spices are really good. Cinnamon, cardamoms, all these things are really good to have. You can add the cinnamon up to many things. You can add it in your porridge. You can have it in your teas. You can have it in many ways. Cardamom is really good. All these great things help you with your overall well-being. And superfood is something I don't take lightly because you don't realize what the goodness of superfoods until you start seeing the results and feeling it in your body. And one of the main things I actually love is a few of them I'm going to list to you with my favorites. I mentioned spirulina to you before. Aloe vera is another one, but the go-to for myself and my household is reishi. It's also known as Ganoderma lucidum. And we were introduced to this about 14, almost 15 years ago. And on the hierarchy of all superfoods, it's considered a medicinal mushroom as well as a food supplement, and it's number one all of the on the planet thus far. So there's many other types, but this is the one I like to gravitate to, especially there's knowing and experiencing myself and my household and getting a lot of testimonials back from us of people we shared the information with. And there's two others I'll share with you. Now think about you eating food, you're buying food in the grocery store and you're eating and consuming to hopefully get the right amount of antioxidants you need in your body. But the question would be is how many of the actual item you're buying for food consumption can you get the right amount of antioxidants, minerals, vitamins? So as in comparison, the reishi itself, which is normally grown on plum logs, these have the highest amount of antioxidants thus far in all the research that we've found and the feedback we've gotten in the way of going through the studies that we've seen. So, for example, you may like avocados. Well, you may need to, in the way of consumption, you may need to have seven avocados to get the equivalent of what you need from a single dose of reishi. I call it Ganoderma as well. It's the same thing. Cinnamon, which I love, 11 versus 150. So if you look at the ratio as to how much you would get in the way of the antioxidants into your system, if your body is getting what it needs, it performs the way it should, which is at its optimal best. So think of it this way: you're consuming something. And normally with reishi, if you've never heard about it before, Organoderma lucidum, it's a medicinal mushroom. So it's very high in nutrients, very low in carbohydrates, very high in protein and fiber, very high in vitamins, and it's been known in the Western world as Ganoderma lucidum. In the eastern part of the world, it's called reishi or linseed, and it's been known to be practiced for the last 2,000 plus years in the eastern part of the world. And think of things like ginseng and echinacea. All these things came into North America site and coconut oil the last 20, 30 years. Whereas now, the last several, maybe almost 20 years, we begin to find about these amazing mushrooms. So they're very high in antioxidants, terpenoids, flavonoids. But there's some studies I want to share with you. If you go to pubmed.gov, if a particular condition that you have, there's over 3,000 case studies. Anything from issues with inflammation, with sleep issues, anxiety, pain, depression. There's studies to show that this Ganoderma lucidum helps to alleviate all of these over time. And so, as I'm sharing with you, the PMID, that's the ID that you can track to go back on this full like dissertations information on that. I'm just giving you sort of the highlights of those. But this is a publicly medical library that studies are placed there where there's no invested interest, no financial gain from these individuals who have done these studies. And so we've seen where through feedback that we receive from people who consume this, that it helps to reduce inflammation. It helps to regenerate the nerve if you have a central nervous issue. It helps with individuals who've had metabolism issues. It helps protect the brain. It helps improve in cognitive impairment and so much more. It also helps improve the autoimmune system or the function. So I mentioned before, we have overactive and underactive. It helps with sort of balancing that out over time. Now, if you think of a supplement, a food, nutrients, this is considered a food supplement. So you're consuming a food supplement is helping your body's overall wellness, and you will find over time that it'll help in some way, shape, or form. Now, you may have an underlying condition and someone may not. So the body will tell you exactly how it's feeling. It doesn't lie. It tells you how it's feeling in the sense of your well-being. And by consuming something like this, you'll be able to tell for yourself versus what I'm sharing with you. So in addition to that, we know that sleep is important, and sometimes we have challenges with sleep. So this actual herb, or might call it a mushroom, helps with if you're feeling fatigued. It's anti-fatigue. It helps with sleeping. It helps with sleep disturbance. If you have insomnia, issues with sleep disorder, some people have chronic insomnia. It actually helps with that to normalize the body. It also helps promote sleep through your gut because we know the gut is once that's disrupted with the pathway for serotonin associated with this gut experience, it disrupts your sleep as well. So the studies we've found it helps with restlessness, if you have heart palpitations, issues with memory impairment, prolonging your life overall well-being, but also it helps with the significantly decreasing the sleep latency. So may increase sleep, and so your non-REM sleep is actually reduced, and you have a deeper quality of sleep. So the PubMed IDs you see here, as I go through them, there are many benefits that you can find, but I'm sharing this with you because in addition to eating right and sleeping right and thinking right and moving right, you need to support your body with the right nutrients. And if the soil that we have today in this world is heavily depleted and you're eating food for consumption for fuel, you may not get all the nutrients you need, right? So think of it this way as you giving your body what it needs to perform its optimal best. Here are some PubMed studies I want to share with you that helps with the autoimmune system. It helps with alleviating many things, improving autoimmune system, of course, improving how your body responds to certain things. It also can be used with other medication, as far as what we've known in the studies, but also helps with many other things. So there's something called antioxidants or oxidative stress. If your body has too much free radicals, that means your cells are dying. That means from a good cell to a dying cell, you get other underlying conditions and your health is impacted. But when your body gets the right amount of antioxidants, it can reverse that oxidative stress. So the oxidative stress is something that's underlying in your health and well-being. As you're going through this year for a healthier lifestyle, think of how you can improve and reduce those free radicals from your body. Candidum lucidum could be a source you actually focus on how you can actually have it into your system. Not only that as well, we know that it helps to oxygenate the body, it helps the natural detoxification, and it helps with supporting the sleep, but also it supports your stamina. So for example, you find that you're fatigued, you're tired, and you want to do a physical activity in the way of a workout, but you feel lethargic. What actually helps support you by improving your stamina and your longevity in the way of your energy level. So we know that the Ganoderma is great, but it's also two others called cordyceps as well as lion's mane. So this actually helps with, they work synergistically together or on their own. Also helps with your immune system, longevity, libido, your memory, and of course your sleep, which we talked about before. So it shows that the cordyceps, which is another type of mushroom, improves sleep symptoms, especially for those who have had bouts of depression and also those who've had the symptoms of chronic mild stress. So the cordyceps, we know, is considered to be a mushroom to help with promoting your well-being, is to help promoting food in the way this is how the Gandama does. So we speak about the oxidative stress. We spoke about the cordyceps as well as the reishi. But lion's mane is something new. In the last 2 years, I found about this. It's really good. It's actually really good for cognition, memory, sharpness, clarity, mental energy. I found when I've consumed this, my alertness and my focus becomes more sharp. This is my personal experience, of course. But it may improve for some, especially those who have issues after taking medication and they find that they have brain fog or they go through seasons of life like menopause or andropause. I've gotten feedback that it's actually helped to sharpen their or lessen the brain fog they're experiencing. So as I'm sharing this with you, we represent a brand called Organo, and Organo is one of the world leading brand here in Canada, and we have a brand with a purpose. We want to help people create a better life. But what I want to share with you is that this company found an ingenious way to infuse that mushroom, which is called Ganoderma, into everyday consumable items like coffee, teas, hot cocoa, and of course by itself as a nutraceutical. And we've been consuming this for the last 15 years. I can say for myself, the only thing that really I had back then as an underlying condition was my allergies. And for the last 14 years, it hasn't triggered because I just simply switched my brand of beverage that I like. It's infused into it. So normally the mushroom itself is quite bitter. As a tincture, that's the only way you can consume it because it's really hard on the surface. But when you have it into these beverages, there's no bitterness. All you taste is the beverages themselves, which is the delivery mechanism, like the teas and the hot cocoa and so forth. But you're getting the benefits of the Ganoderma. So this is the passport I want to invite you to be able to take advantage of. You know, this passports to holistic wellness in many ways, shape, and form. But for me, this has been one of the best choices we've made and we've shared with others. And so this is what we represent, a world-leading brand that allows us to be able to share the treasure of the earth, which is Ganoderma, to the people of the world like yourself. So it comes in many forms. You may drink cocoa, you may drink coffee, you may drink tea, or simply water. But think of these as delivery mechanism to get into your system the goodness of Ganoderma and the benefits that you could experience depending on what your body is actually responding to. So I actually love this because I'm a tea person. I'm a coffee person. So I simply switched my brand. So if you're open to trying something new for at least 30 days, 60 days, maybe 90 days to see what it does for you, this could be something you could be, if you're open to this, to try. And of course, we love your feedback. And think of it this way, you could save money because most coffee you stop at Tim Hortons or other places may cost between $2 to $4. For simple under $1 or $1.50, you can actually switch your brand and you're able now to consume something and pay attention to your body and what it does for you. It also comes in toothpaste form, Ganoderma. The skincare as well. It doesn't have Ganoderma, but it also is free of toxins because what we put onto our skin goes into our body and into our organs. But think of you as consuming something by being mindful of your well-being. You want to practice mindfulness, positivity through wellness. And think of it this way, if you were to switch your brand, whatever that brand is, by simply making that one small choice and you have a lasting impact on your health, what would you put in the way of a dollar value on your life? You can gain the world and lose your health. But think of it this way, you can actually achieve your goals once you're getting healthier by consuming something that'll help your overall well-being and your longevity of life. Now, there's different Ganoderma or Vichy on the market. Some are artificially grown by other brands. Ours are grown naturally. We have a patent on that. We have 32 certifications on this patent, and we're protected as representative of the company. We're a Canadian brand, but we know that when you consume something that doesn't have the right environment to grow, you don't get the full nutrients, like something that's grown in plastic bags. You get all of the nutrients because it's grown as Mother Nature intended. Think of it this way, you actually get a product when it's artificially grown. the absorption rate into your body may be maybe under 15% based on the studies. But with our brand, we have this patent where 99% of the nutrients are stays into your body. That means you don't pass it through. And so it comes in different forms, like I mentioned, the capsule forms or beverage forms. And we have it in different stages. Three stages growth, which is the mycelium, the roots, the ganoderma, which is the fruiting body, which is most of the beverages. Of course, the spores, which is the most potent part of it, which is the seed, grows back to plum logs to regenerate. So we actually have that in capsule form in some of our beverages as well. So as I share this with you, this is actually one of the products I've fallen in love with. We're on back order with this one, but this has a three mushroom blend. The others have the one mushroom infused into it, and some have two. So as I'm sharing this with you, I actually wanted to welcome you to ask any questions. I do have a PDF I want to share with you as how you can actually track your habits for the 2026. Any questions?
Good night, Kerry-Ann. I don't have any questions, but I would like to thank you for the presentation. It was really
Oh,
good, very informative. And
you're very welcome.
yeah, I noticed when I run out of spores and products, and my sugar goes back up again, and my
Oh,
mood changes, especially because of the winter. There's no sun, so the
so did
Ganoderma
you
helps
mind?
me out a lot.
So this is the spores you're referring to. Excuse me. The
The
Ganoderma spores,
capsules,
the capsule.
yes, the capsules.
Do you mind sharing with others what you experienced, what condition you have, why you're experiencing those things when you don't have it?
Oh wow. Well, I got diagnosed with PTSD and depression, and I have prediabetes and gout and arthritis, right? So
Yeah.
that was due accumulated through the years from stress,
Mhm.
and but honestly, if it wasn't for the Ganoderma and the product I've been taking, the doctors couldn't understand why. Um, because I had a surgery, I had a hip surgery, and they didn't understand why the infection didn't spread all over my body. And I know it was the Ganoderma that helped me, So, and especially when I was taking all those pain medications, it helped to protect my kidneys and my liver, because when the doctor tested back my results, my liver's fine, my kidneys are fine, there's nothing wrong. So that helped me a lot, and I'm really glad that I actually switched my coffee, switched my hot chocolate, and actually don't take multivitamins all the time, but I do take my spores and my products.
Awesome. And just for those of you who are taking supplements
Oh,
right now,
oops.
what we found out is that when you take these capsule, it actually helps your body to absorb your supplements better because the reishi or the Gandama is actually an adaptogen. So when you're taking other supplements like vitamin D, omegas, and all of these things, your body tends to sometimes pass it through. You're taking these capsules or you're taking the beverages, it helps sustain your body longer. I've learned that from Dr. Barbara Kelsey. Yes, he did one presentation. Again, feel free once a month. There's a Ask the Doctor happened last Wednesday. You feel free to reach out and we can send the extended invite to you. It looks like I'm having a problem trying to share the PDF so you can actually see the chart. For those of you who are in our private Facebook group, it's there under the last posting I did. So you can download the PDF and it's a little tracker to show you sort of keep track of what you want to do and what you're planning for wellness, some habits you can create for yourself as you improve your health for you and your family. So are there any questions before we wrap up? And we went a little bit longer than expected. Normally we go about 45 minutes to an hour for Q&A and so forth.
Hi,
Um,
I
hi.
am I'm Marcia. I was introduced to this by Maria. She gave me one of her booklets, and it was a few months ago. So I decided to text her, and she informed me the meeting and all that. But my interest is like a business part of it because I'm one of those person that healthy eating is my lifestyle. So I use
Okay.
a lot. I use a lot of herb. I have a neuropathic doctor that assists me in things that I'm not aware of and things like that. So my eating habit. It
I
would
love
be
the fact,
nice, but
yeah, I
I
love the
just
fact
would
that you're
like
being
to.
proactive.
Excuse me.
I love the fact that you're proactive with your health. Congrats to
Yes.
you.
So my interest is basically the business part of it. Do you normally have people getting product to do it as a business or just
Yes.
an individual thing?
We do. So there are individuals that we work with, and we work with also wellness centers, depending on what they're looking to do. So there's
Mm-hmm.
actually we can reach offline with you and Maria to show the business aspect because we are looking for brand ambassadors
Mm-hmm.
to build up the market here in Canada. We're a Canadian company, but we will reach you offline to share that with you.
Okay.
And then we share with you how you can earn commissions from that, or income, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Any other
So
questions? Sorry,
no,
go
I'm
ahead.
fine, thank you. No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. A pleasure speaking with you, Marcia. All
I
right,
just
so there's a
it's
question
fine.
here about Ask the Doctor. I believe it was last Wednesday, but I'll double check the schedule.
No,
So is this week? So I believe it's this Wednesday, tomorrow. So I'll double check.
I
Yeah.
registered.
Yeah, so I can share the link in the group. Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
For those of you who are interested of this particular webinar, Dr. Bob Rakowski has a monthly Ask the Doctor webinar. He is based out of Houston, Texas, but he travels back and forth to Canada every so often. He is a wealth of information. So if there's a topic you want to ask, question, that's the perfect time. He'll be speaking about toxins and how it impacts the body. This is what he's speaking about tomorrow. So if you're not part of our Facebook private group as yet, reach out to the person who invited you. They can extend the invite. If not, we'll share it with those who are on this call as well. I just don't have the link right now, but I can share with the individuals who'd like to be a part of that. It's tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. So once you get the invite, you just register one time. It's a free access, and then you'll get notification. That's basically how it works. All right. So it was great speaking with each of you. For those who've asked questions, for those who were part of the presentation. Again, I was so excited to be able to share this with you and the information we have. And I want to wish each and every one of you a great month ahead, a great year ahead, and hope to see you again on the future calls because we have this every single Tuesday, different topics at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do have the recorded ones from before on that same Facebook group. They can go back and look at different topics to gain more knowledge of how it can benefit you and your family. Have a great, great evening. For those who want to try the products, reach out to the person who invited you, and they will be able to connect you with getting those products to try it for yourself, at least for the time frame I suggested. Right. So take care, everyone. Blessings. Have a good night.
Blessings. Good night from Tobago.
Good
Good
night from
night.
Tobago. All right. Bye bye.
Bye.